Hi, I'm Jess Arce, America's dyslexia expert and the CEO and director of 3D Learning Experts. We specialize in tutoring in reading, writing, spelling, and math for students who struggle with dyslexia, dysgraphia, and dyscalculia. However, today I want to talk about homeschooling. Last week, I talked about different school options, so I thought it would be a good idea to share about homeschooling this week. And I, as well as having kids who went to private school and public school, I homeschooled my kids for the last 10 years of three of my 4 kids' years of schooling. And it was my three children who all have dyslexia, varying degrees, who just did not thrive in the traditional school setting. My oldest son is was fit into the box that students are expected to fit into. However, none of my other kids did. And so it took me a long time to actually finally agree to homeschool because my second youngest child asked to be homeschooled from first grade to fifth grade when I started homeschooling them. So I wasn't willing to do it for reasons that many of you might not want to homeschool. Concerned about socialization, concerned about if I give in to my child trying to avoid some of their social challenges that they were experiencing, then how are they going to learn to deal with people? So we didn't homeschool for a long time. It wasn't until that child was in their bedroom, no, in the bathroom at 1 o'clock in the morning crying. And I happened to wake up, or maybe I stayed up late that night. I don't know. But I heard them crying. And so I went and asked why he was crying. And the answer was that they were uncomfortable. They were scared about going to school. We had already gone through sending our child to the guidance counselor every time they had an issue during the school day, going to therapy, and none of it was making the school experience any better. So I told my husband, I said, you know what? If I was an adult who hated a job that much, I would quit that job. Now, there are a lot of people who keep jobs that they hate. I am not one of those people. If I don't like a job, I know that there's another job waiting for me. So, anyway, I made the choice to pull my child out of school that very next day. I didn't know what I was going to be doing because I had thought about homeschooling my kids years earlier. I actually did homeschool one of my kids for 12 months when my two youngest kids were still little, and it was a total fail. So I quickly put her back into school the middle of first grade because I pulled her out in the middle of kindergarten and I put her back in the middle of first grade because I was a full-time realtor. I had two preschoolers at home and I had an older child in school and I didn't know what I was doing. So I had no experience other than that. And so that wasn't going to make a difference. I wanted to do what was right for my child. Anyway, fast forward, homeschooling was the best thing for my three kids with dyslexia, dysgraphia, dyscalculia, um, autism, sensory processing disorder, all sorts of challenges, right? It changed their lives. My mother, who was a public school teacher, and my sister, who was a public school teacher, both discouraged me about homeschooling. And within a year, my mother was an advocate for homeschooling. She saw what a difference it made in my youngest son's life. He's the one with 8 neurodiversities, and he was struggling in school. And he had Orton Gillingham based instruction in school. We lived in Texas, and they pulled him out of class during the language arts time, and he went and met with a small group of kids. However, he still was not thriving. We had to have him on ADHD medicine because he couldn't focus otherwise. And this was my kid that wasn't very emotional, who would cry all the time on the meds. We hated having him on those meds. And we had him on the meds for the 3 years that he was in first, second, and third grade. And every summer we'd take him off his meds because we didn't want him on meds. We didn't like him on meds. He didn't like being on meds. So anyway, he thrived. And I learned how to tutor because of him and because I was going to be homeschooling him. So had I not made the decision to homeschool him, I wouldn't have changed the trajectory of hundreds of kids' lives. Wow. Never even realized that until right now. Everything happens for a reason. So I not only helped my son, I have helped hundreds of other kids who struggle because of dyslexia, dysgraphia, and dyscalculia, thanks to my choice to homeschool. So if you're thinking about homeschooling your child, if you've ever thought about it, if you're nervous, you're unsure whether you can do it, first of all, let me tell you, anyone who has the desire and can make the time can homeschool their child. We are our child's first teacher. We are their best teacher because no one else is going to care about their day-to-day life or their future better than their parents. So, it might be a struggle. I'm not saying homeschooling is easy. However, it is so worth it. And I am going to be doing a webinar going over homeschooling and talking about why you might want to homeschool your child, what the benefits are of homeschooling kids who are neurodiverse. And then if you are interested, I am going to be offering an 8-week series preparing parents for homeschooling their children, and it'll be a support group as well. So you'll have the support of other parents just starting out homeschooling their neurodiverse child. So just keep those in mind. They're going to be coming this summer. I figured summer is a perfect time to work on preparing to be a homeschool mom. That was what I did the first year I homeschooled both of my kids, my 2 youngest ones, because when I first started homeschooling, it was totally unplanned and we just started. The next year it was planned, and I spent my summer preparing to homeschool my kids. And so then eventually I ended up homeschooling all 3 of my dyslexic kids because my daughter was not thriving in high school. And she decided, after years of saying she thought homeschooling was awful and only dorks homeschooled and all these horrible things she would say, she decided, after seeing her younger siblings homeschooled for a couple of years, that that would be the best thing for her. And actually, now she is an adult and she plans on homeschooling her children when she has children. So full circle, homeschooling. If you want to learn more about homeschooling, you definitely want to join my free webinar that'll be in June. And then if it's for you, if it makes sense, then you can commit to homeschooling and at least just commit for a year. You don't have to commit for the rest of your life. 1 year at a time is one of the mottos of homeschooling people. And in the meantime, if you would like help with your struggling child, we provide virtual tutoring, Orton Gillingham based, multi-sensory, systematic tutoring for reading and spelling, writing, and math. so we can help you and your child experience success with all of those areas and just bring so much joy to your family and your house when you no longer have those struggles. So you can schedule a consultation call with me at 3dlearningexperts.com/consult.